Kritivash highly respected Nagmahashaya for his saintly character, and if any beggar came to Nagmahashaya for a handful of rice and Nagmahashaya could not satisfy him, Kritivash would at once help him in the matter. We are told that Nagmahashaya's house being situated on a main road, a multitude of beggars would visit his house daily and none returned empty-handed. One day, an old Vaishnava came to Nagmahashaya for alms, but Nagmahashaya had nothing at that time for him except a little quantity of rice, just sufficient for one meal. Kirtivash was not at home then. Nagmahashaya came to the beggar and with great humility told him that he had not in his house much to give that day except a little quantity of rice, and asked him if he would accept the rice only. The old man was surprised to see his loving regards and went away with the rice in great admiration. Nagmahashaya never took any sort of refreshment. He would not even touch any sweets not offered to God. He used to say that it would create a craving for the pleasure of the tongue. Although he himself never took any kind of tasty food, he was ever ready to feed others well. Nagmahashaya would not talk of worldly things, and if anyone brought in a topic of the kind in his presence, he would cleverly turn off the conversation and say, "Glory to Sri Ramakrishna. Why this topic today? Pray take the name of Lord. Take the name of the Mother." If for some reason or other Nagmahashaya would have a feeling of hatred or anger towards anyone, he would beat his own body mercilessly with anything that he could get hold of. He would not speak ill of any others, nor would he speak any time against anyone. Once, by chance, there came out from his lips some bad remark against somebody. The next moment, he picked up a stone that was lying by and began to strike his own head with it. Blood oozed out from the lacerated part, and the wound took more than a month to heal up. But he said, rightly served, the wicked man should have his punishment. In order to subdue the passions, he would abstain from food. Sometimes he would remain fasting for 5 or 6 days together without taking even water. For example, on one occasion, Suresh went to see Nagmahashaya. He was at that time cooking his meals. Perhaps some undesirable feeling had arisen in his heart at the sight of Suresh, and at once he broke down the cooking pot. He wept in anguish and bowed down to Suresh and said, "Still I am not free from wickedness." That day he remained without any cooked rice for his food and lived on a piece worth of puffed rice only. Owing to his chronic headache, Nagmahashaya had to give up bathing, and for the last 20 years of his life he clung to this habit. That gave him a dry, ragged appearance. Moreover, there was his severe tapas. All this combined made the humility of his soul visibly manifest in every part of his body, and he looked the very emblem of humility. Girish Babu used to say of him, by constant beating, Nagmahashaya had head of his ego completely broken. It was unable to raise its hood anymore. While walking on the public roads, he would not go ahead of anybody, and even to the common waifs and strays of the road, he would make way and follow them humbly. He would not even tread on the shadow of any person, nor sit on the bed occupied by another. For was he not a devoted servant of the Lord? And the Lord is in all beings. How could a servant accept service from his master? But the devoted servant in him was always ready to serve the master humbly in whatever form or dress he might choose to appear before him. If anybody would prepare a chillum of tobacco for him, he would not smoke it, but he prepared chillums for all. When any of his friends visited him, he used to offer him tobacco, chillum, and chillum after chillum, and would also smoke himself. Even when the friend would like to depart, he would not let him go, but request him to smoke some more chillum. He used to say, I am so low, lower than the lowest. I have no capacity for any great work. If by preparing chillums for you all I can have your grace, I shall feel my life really blessed. Though a highly advanced aspirant to whom Raga Bhakti had become natural, Nagmahashaya was not averse to the disciplines of Vaidhi Bhakti. As he himself did hard penance, he advised others also to do the same. Once he had a long discussion with Suresh on this point. Suresh was to go to Quetta on some business after he had visited Sri Ramakrishna with Nagmahashaya for 8 or 9 days. Before he left Calcutta, Nagmahashaya entreated Suresh to take initiation from the master. But Suresh had no faith in the efficacy of Mahamantras at that time, and so argued much with Nagmahashaya. At last it was settled that he would do what the master would bid him. Next day both of them went to Dakshineshwar, and as soon as they took their seat, Nagmahashaya raised the topic of Suresh's initiation. Sri Ramakrishna said, well, what he says is perfectly right. One should take initiation and then commence his devotional practices. Why don't you agree with him? Suresh replied, I have no faith in mantram. Turning to Nagmahashaya, Sri Ramakrishna said, however, he does not require it just now, but he will get it some time afterwards. When Suresh had gone and been at Quetta for some time, he felt a great hankering for initiation. He resolved to come to Calcutta and take his initiation from the master. But when he came there, alas, the light of Dakshineshwar was about to flicker out. Suresh repented bitterly of not having heeded to Nagmahashaya's words in time. When Sri Ramakrishna passed away, he was in great grief and cursed his own fate, since every night he used to repair to the bank of the Ganges and sigh out his mental agony to the spirit of the holy river. Once he laid himself down on the bank with an austere vow. The whole night he was in the same posture. To his great astonishment, early in the morning, before daybreak, he saw Sri Ramakrishna coming out of the waters of the Ganges and approaching towards him. The master came near him and uttered the holy mantram into his ear. Suresh bowed down and wanted to take the dust from his feet, but oh, the holy figure had vanished. 4 years had passed away since Nagmahashaya first met Sri Ramakrishna. The time was fast approaching when the Master would end his Leela on earth. Those joyous days of Dakshineshwar were past. Though the glorious light of the setting sun was still lingering in the sky, the coming night had cast a forward shadow and gloom in the hearts of the devotees. Sri Ramakrishna was lying ill, bedridden in a garden house at Kashipur, north of Calcutta. Nagmahashaya knew that the mother's play through the body of Sri Ramakrishna would soon pass out of sight. At that time, Nagmahashaya could not visit the master often. What to speak of seeing his sufferings, even the very thought of them was enough to break my heart. Oh, I could not bear the sight of the master's sufferings. When I found that he, out of his own will, allowed the disease to remain in his body, and I could not alleviate his sufferings, I made up my mind not to go near him. Only very rarely I used to go and see him. While Sri Ramakrishna was suffering from a burning sensation all over his body, one day, finding Nagmahashaya before him, he exclaimed, "Oh, come here, come, sit by me. I shall feel much relieved by the cool touch of your body." So saying, Sri Ramakrishna sat within the embrace of Nagmahashaya for a long time. When Suresh went to see Sri Ramakrishna after his return from Quetta, the master said, "Where is the doctor? I hear he knows medicine. Please ask him to come here once." Suresh came and informed Nagmahashaya of it. In obedience to the commandment, Nagmahashaya went to Kashipur. Sri Ramakrishna told him, "Oh, you have come? That's all right. The doctors and Kavirajas have given up hope for curing the disease. Do you know any charm to cure disease? Just see if you can effect any cure." Bending his head low, Nagmahashaya thought for a while and then made up a firm resolve to draw by his strong will power the fatal disease from the body of Sri Ramakrishna into that of his own. Suddenly, a kind of abnormal excitement took possession of him, and he cried out, "Yes, yes, I do know. Through the grace I know everything. This moment the disease shall be cured." So saying, Nagmahashaya hastened towards Sri Ramakrishna. But the master knew the disciple. He understood his motive and warding him off from himself, remarked, "Yes, that is possible for you. You can cure the disease." The master was a great mystery and equally mysterious for the disciple.